Well, millions in France are voting today in a parliamentary election that could make history, with the far right hoping to secure power. French President Emmanuel Macron greeted crowds of supporters after voting in Le Touquet. He shook hands and took selfies with dozens who had gathered outside the polling station. The outcome of the two-round election, which will wrap up on July 7th, could impact European financial markets, Western support for Ukraine, and how France's nuclear arsenal and global military force are managed. Joining me now is freelance reporter Lisa Louise. She's standing by for us in Paris. Lisa, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
For the French voting in this election, what's at stake here?
Well, a lot is at stake here. People here have been calling this a historic election. France is holding its breath. And as one friend told me earlier, she said, there were occasions on which the far-right Rassemblement National, the National Rally, get into the second round of voting in presidential elections. But people here somehow felt that in presidential elections, they wouldn't get through. This time around, the far-right National Rally is really close to power and might get a majority in parliament. If that is the case, the president would have to appoint a prime minister from the National Rally. And as opposed to what many people think, this is a presidential system. It's called a presidential system. But actually, the prime minister and his or her government are holding the keys to the castle. They're really in charge of domestic politics. And that could be really crucial in the coming years here in France.
What has led to this swing? I know they were talking about them possibly forming a government, but now they're talking about a majority for the National Rally?
Well, what happened really is that the European elections 3 weeks ago were a large defeat for Emmanuel Macron, the centrist, centre-right president. And he was hoping that with this snap election, he would take everybody by surprise. He did, but opinion polls are showing that's very unlikely. He will, increase his majority. In the last parliamentary legislative elections in 2022, just after he got re-elected as a president, he got a majority in parliament, but only a simple majority, not an absolute majority. The French have historically been really bad at forming coalitions and finding compromises. So when it comes to certain emblematic legislations, it has been really difficult for the president to get them through parliament. He felt he was lacking momentum, and so he dissolved the parliament. But many people were really unhappy, really outright angry. Even his closest allies were really angry at the president because they were saying this was the worst possible moment because the far right is really on the way up, and it will be very difficult to defeat the National Rally, to break that momentum.
Tell us a little bit about the leader of the National Rally, Marine Le Pen, I believe, right?
Well, it's Marine Le Pen, but the person who that everybody is watching right now is Jordan Bardella, a 28-year-old leader of the party. Marine Le Pen was the presidential candidate, but the prime minister, if the National Rally got an outright, an absolute majority in parliament, would be Jordan Bardella. He's 28 years old. He's got no professional experience. He joined the party at a very young age, and he's, first of all, really known for his TikTok videos. He's got this perfect image, very slick, is always on TikTok showing himself preparing for a campaign event. But he's also been criticized for being not very well informed, for being basically quite shallow and just repeating party slogans. But it is this image and his videos, his very dynamic videos on TikTok, that are appealing to many voters, and they feel they can vote for him, even though some of these voters feel that they couldn't vote for the National Rally in itself, which descends from a party that in the Second World War collaborated with the Nazis under Vichy and has been known for its very anti-Semitic stance, for its anti-immigrant stance. That's still in its program right now, and also has been known for being traditionally very close to Putin, and in a financial way, but also in an ideological way, and being very anti-American. They want to withdraw from NATO really in the future. Although obviously during this campaign they haven't been concentrating on these issues. They've been talking about double nationality, for example, saying that they want to block people who have two nationalities here in France from getting access to certain strategic posts.
Okay, Lisa, thank you very much for that update.